Can Malaysia teach us about living in harmony? That's what I want to talk about today. Having experienced another connection with a taxi driver as soon as we arrived in Penang here in Malaysia. We got a taxi ride from the airport south of the island up to our place north of the island at Batu Ferenghi. And this taxi ride was 45 minutes to an hour, and the driver was really nice. He could speak good English, and we had a really lovely conversation. And that's what I want to talk about. That's where this stems from. This whole topic stems from this connection that I had with this taxi driver. So I'm filming this here in Penang, in Youth Park in Penang, and it's amazing. So I'm going to put some footage of it all at the end, including all the animals that are here. Like there's two kinds of monkeys, there's amazing coloured butterflies, there's red dragonflies, giant, great big black giant squirrels, just amazing. So I'll put a load of footage at the end for that, so stay tuned for that. But this is a talk about how Malaysia can maybe teach us about living in harmony. So I'm going to have a little walk around here. So yeah, this ride was quite touching. This taxi driver was, like I said, he had really good English, and we got to talking so much, and then he opened up a lot as well. You know, we were saying about how my eldest is undiagnosed neurodivergent, both autism and ADHD, and he was saying his son's autistic, because I was asking him, does he, you know, has he got a wife, does he have family, does he get to see them very often, and things like that. And he opened up and said his son was autistic, and by the sounds of it, severely autistic. And because he couldn't really learn, he said he couldn't really learn, he would always be living with him and stuff like this. So I thought, wow, I've got a real connection with this guy, this taxi driver. Something else I noticed about living in harmony. Now, I have been here 20 years ago, but I don't remember it much in Southeast Asia. I've been to Malaysia on the way to Australia 20 years ago, so I don't really remember it. But I am aware of how they drive over here. And we haven't done Thailand, Vietnam and all them yet. So this is the first experience around here. And we would call it a bit crazy, their driving. They don't really indicate much. But it's weirdly sort of, they still think of others. So they don't indicate, they do just cut in. But it's like in a, I can't get the words out, it's in a considerate way. They let each other do it almost. And do you know what? There's no honking of horns. I've very rarely seen any honking of horns as they're doing this. In fact, I've never even seen any anger here. I haven't seen anyone get angry or stressed in Malaysia. It is very harmonious. And the last thing that has spiralled this need and want for me to do this video was about religion. Now, I'm not religious. I've never been brought up religious and never looked into it. I do read about Buddhist philosophy, but that's it. That's as far as I've gone. I've seen Buddhist temples back at home in Cumbria, but that's about it. So we got on to talking about religion because I said to him, are you Muslim? Do you pray? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, what are you going to do? You've got us in your car when you're supposed to be praying, because we're aware that they pray 5 times a day, because back when we were in Kuala Lumpur for a week, we heard the call to prayer at 5 times a day. So he said, oh no, they're lenient, you know, they're tolerant, they're lenient. As long as you do it before the next one, you're okay. And I thought, oh, that's really good, that you're not that strict, that you have to do it at set times, specifically at that time. So that's how we got onto the conversation about religion. And I said, there's so many religions here, isn't there? And he said, yeah. And I said, you all get along so well, like you all are tolerant of each other. And he said, yeah, because that's your religion. This is my religion. We just get on. And this was emphasised a few days later when we went into Georgetown, the capital here in Penang. We went to a mosque, and then we went to a Buddhist temple. And the first one, the mosque, where the religion is Islam and they are Muslim. I'm learning all this. We're actually teaching the kids this now because because we're not religious and because we've never had a need to talk about religion before. We knew this was going to be a big homeschooling topic for us, so we're learning all this ourselves. So yes, that's what they learn. They go to the mosques. They're Islam. They practice Islam. They are Muslim. Please bear with me in the comments with this. So we went in. We had to cover up. Weirdly, my youngest didn't, but my eldest and me and Richard all had to cover up. And then I asked the volunteer questions, and I was saying, "Oh, it's so good, isn't it? You all get on. All your religions get on." She says, "Yeah, because that's what our Quran says. You know, our holy book. It says, you do you, and I do me. You pray to your God, I pray to my God. They don't make it fixed that you do that." So I found that really interesting. And she said, you know, I said, "I don't really know the difference with religions and stuff." And she said, the difference is that we pray to one God, Allah, through Muhammad teachings. I'm hoping I'm getting this right. Hindu and Buddhists have more than one God. They pray to more than one God. So I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. So, and then I started thinking about Buddhism, and something that I've always thought about Buddhism is that I can really get on with their philosophy, like practicing acceptance and non-judgment and that non-materialistic stuff, that you don't need and want for things to be happy, all that kind of thing. But like, as a non-religious person, my thing about God is a lot of them say that we are God. I mean, this woman in the mosque, she said that. She said we are God, God is us. So then I'm thinking, well, if that is the case, we are God and God is us, why does God need to be on a pedestal? Why can't we be as one? You've just said that. So when it comes to things like offerings, I don't understand it. And when it comes to things like with Buddhism, it's all gold and luxurious. I'm like, but isn't materialistic things, doesn't that not make you happy? Like, why do we have to celebrate gold and luxury and stuff like that? And why are we feeding God's ego by putting him on a pedestal? So it's just made me think about these things, because then we went to this Buddhist temple and all I could see was gold, this, gold, that, and it's lovely. I get it, like it's nice. But that was just my take from a non-religious perspective. And like I say, I've tuned into a lot of the Buddhist teachings, but not necessarily why it's all gold and things like that. I'll hold my hand up, I don't know about that. So that's how that came about. So then what I normally do is I start thinking and being curious about things. And I thought, I wonder if Malaysia is in harmony because of this and their religion. And part of Islam is that they don't drink. And back in England, in the UK, it's quite a heavy culture of drinking, isn't it? We're known for it. It's sort of like our stereotype. We're known for drinking. Can Malaysia show us how to live more in harmony? Is part of that because a bigger percentage of them don't drink alcohol? And is our culture a drinking culture because majority of it is non-religious and therefore and does drink a lot? Is that a link? You know? And the whole like religions together, all I thought of when I was thinking about this was Ireland. Even Ireland alone, and again, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but Protestant and Catholic fighting against each other, you know, like there's none of that here, and yet there's like 5 different religions. So it's just a thought. And so that got me thinking about what's our percentage of religion. Obviously our top religion is Christianity, but then I started to think, I bet the next one after that is non-religious. I think there's more and more people in the UK that are non-religious. So I was curious and I went and Googled it. And these are the findings. Now they are a year apart, these, so they're not totally on par. But let me have a look on my phone here. So this is the census for 2020 for Malaysia. The religious composition in Malaysia is approximately 63.5% Muslim, 18.7% Buddhist, 9.1% Christian, 6.1% Hindu, and 2.7% practicing other religions or having no religious affiliation. And you compare that then to the UK. So I think this was 2021 census, so it's a year after the data there for Malaysia. The most recent census data shows that Christianity is the largest region in the UK, accounting for 46.2% of the population, followed by those with no religion at, what do you reckon it is? 37.2%. Other religions include Islam, 6.5%, Hinduism 1.7%, and Sikhism 0.9%, among others. Okay, so that was interesting. And this is why we're circling back now about this whole religion. So, isn't it interesting that 37%, I think it said, was non-religious in England? And this is a bit of a topic for me because I actually had this channel was a different name, it was called A Spiritual Life. And I changed it because I think people were thinking it was something else. And what I really do on here is talk about mindfulness. I wanted to have a community on this YouTube channel for people who are, perhaps they might call themselves spiritual, but non-religious. Because the people who are non-religious have no accountability. It's like, what do they do? How are they aligned to their own life if they've got no religion, no community, no accountability, no commitment to one another or another thing? And that is really the point of me telling you and going into all this about religion, is religion's great in that it has commitment. You show up every week, or as in Islam is, you're going to show up 5 times a day to pray, to know that Allah is in your thoughts. You're constantly thinking about your God, your belief. When you're non-religious, you don't have that. And there's such a big percentage in the UK that are like this, that don't have a religion, that aren't following anything, or they're not committed to, they're not accountable to anyone or anything. And this is why I talk about values a lot on this channel. And this is something I've started to do myself. And that is, I've sort of started to come away from meditation and do more contemplation around my own personal values. So I've got 5, but I've added another one. I've had 5 values for a long time, and I've just added another one. And what I've started to do is to think of the value one word at a time, and then see how I want that to come about in my life, right? So we talk about manifestation, that kind of thing, visualizing what your future's like. So if you are a shouty parent, like I can be sometimes, and I want to change that. So one of my values is calm and kind. There's 2, calm and kind. So I think of the word calm and how I want to be that calm parent, how I want to be kind and show kindness to myself and my kids. And so I'm visualising that. And the thing is, I think that's how I am starting to live now, where I'm accountable to me and accountable and aligned to my life with my values. So like Islam prays 5 times a day to bring that into their world, their consciousness, they're thinking of Allah at least those 5 times, if not more. They don't drink, they don't eat pork, halal and all that stuff. And I just think that that's one way that non-religious people can bring this about in their life. And I'd love for a community to form on this channel that can share these experiences of being non-religious, but still having that sense of community and connection, commitment, accountability. It just might be that your values are individual, but like all religions, right? And this is what the taxi driver said, all religions want is kindness and compassion to others. That's it at the end of the day. Whether you've got one God or 10 gods, that's it at the end of the day. And I think that's what I'm saying about non-religion, is bringing that together, but having somewhere to do it as a community, like religion does, accountability, like religion does, commitment and showing up and feeling aligned in your life. Because we talk about purpose a lot, but isn't that purpose? Are you living your life the way you want to live it? Back to mindfulness. Are you aligned with life? Well, how do you know that? What values have you got? How do you know if you've had a good day that's been aligned to you and your values and your life? Unless you're aware of them in the first place. So I invite you to, think about that. Think about what values you hold dear to you, personally and within your family. And are you living your life true to them? So take 2 of mine, for example, calm and kind. If you're shouting all the time every day, then you're not really trying. You're not accountable. You're not showing up. You're not committed to your own values. Your own values. Nobody else is. There's no God. You are it, because God is in you, right? So it's just something I've noticed since I've been here, and I've only been here 3 weeks, and I do find it very harmonious. And I told my friend this, and she said, that's what travelling does to you. It opens up your world, it opens up your eyes, and it shows you how other people live. And you can take that back with you if you do go home or around the rest of the world. So I just wanted to bring that up and see what your thoughts are. I'm going to leave you with a bit of footage now from this amazing park, youth park in Penang. See all the wildlife, see the beauty. It's massive, loads of animals that we don't get back in the UK, so enjoy. Thanks for watching, much love. Bye for now. It's Chinese New Year's Eve today, and people have been posting about how busy it is. There's more than 2 million people that have come to Penang to celebrate, and people have put on about how busy the traffic is and everything. And there was someone that wrote in the comments under this post, and I just wanted to read that. Every year it feels familiar, people preparing festive clothes, food and celebrations, just like they always have. But perhaps many of us forget is this. We live in a land shaped by many races, cultures and beliefs. In Malaysia, festive seasons are not rare moments, they are part of our shared rhythm of life. So let this be a gentle reminder. There is no need to be restless when Chinese New Year arrives. Receive it with calmness and respect. It is a meaningful day for the Chinese community, and like all traditions, it returns each year with purpose. The same can be said for Hari Raya, Deepavali, Christmas, and every other sacred celebration. These are the moments when families return to one another, when old distances are softened, when hearts are reminded of what truly matters. That, to me, is harmony. And harmony should not end within the walls of our homes. Let it extend to friends, neighbours and even strangers. For a brief moment, set aside differences, ease the weight in our hearts and honour the beauty of togetherness. Because in the end, what we celebrate is not just a festival, but the humanity we share. I love that.